without further ado, what I'm going to ask, you can see normally I just have speaker view on, so I don't distract from what the guest is saying. But because there are quite a few of us, I'd like you to be able to see everybody at the same time. So I'm going to ask our guests to introduce themselves at the moment. I'd like to know, obviously, your name. Give us a quick overview of your area of specialisation, and let us know maybe how long you've been freelancing, so we can just sort of get a vague understanding of where you are. So, Sally, I'm going to start with you.
All right. Hi, I'm Sally Bathgate. I am a freelance health and medical writer. That means health and medical writers are people who write anything from very technical academic sort of information through to advertising and medical education for doctors, and also consumer related patient information sort of things as well. I started freelancing just about a year ago. Yeah, it's coming up on a year. So that's me.
Awesome. Welcome, Sally. Honey, you're next up.
Hello everyone, my name's Honey Hayton and I have a private counselling practice up here in Queensland, and I specialise in women's counselling, women's issues, the things that they're struggling with in their life, and in my counselling I empower and equip them to live their best life, and I take a very holistic approach to women's lives, looking at all areas and helping them with issues that come up in each of their areas of their life. I was made redundant from a job just on 2 years ago. So I'd been counselling part-time before then, but after I was made redundant, I sort of got the shove that I needed to go out on my own. So that was 2 years ago, but I've probably been doing it seriously, running my own business for about 18 months now. So
great, thanks. And last, but by no means least, Jen, welcome.
Hi, I'm Jen, Jennifer Robson, but call me Jen. I am a content strategist and also content designer and copywriter, and that's an awful lot of words. But I work primarily for global tech companies, so really big guys. I've been freelancing for 18 months next week. So next week will be my 18-month mark. That's me.
Fantastic. Well, what we're going to do today, I guess, is really try and delve into the process of becoming a freelancer, right? And we're going to take, hopefully, that journey from why and how you started to where you are now, and everything good and bad that you've learned along the way. Sally, I realised just before, I'm going to start with you because I think this was pretty much your idea. When you contacted us and filled out the form about, being part of one of the rounded webinars, it was your idea really that we spoke about, that was about, maybe we can talk about this kind of thing. So maybe you can give us some context around, why you became a freelancer in the first place. What were the circumstances surrounding that?
Yeah, so I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry in Australia for many years. It was as what they call a regulatory affairs associate. That's a very technical sort of position within the pharmaceutical industry, dealing with the government and approvals of new medicines and so forth. I took a break from that when I had children. I lived overseas for a short stint, and then coming back to Australia needed to think about what my next steps would be. And while I was in industry, I really loved the writing aspects of the job that I was doing. I did a little bit of writing when I was not working in industry, and I really loved that. And I really thought, well, I want to piece these things together, and but also do it in a way that was flexible and suited my family life, because I still have 3 kids at home, and that was something that was really appealing to me, to have the flexibility to do that. So I was able to find some like-minded people who do a similar sort of thing, and through that sort of avenue began to see what opportunities would be available to do freelancing, to do pitch myself out to clients to work, to write content and copy, and even technical documents for clients around. So I guess that's how I kind of came to it. It was a synthesis of everything that had happened in my past career, leading to the opportunity now, and I've really enjoyed it.
And so would you say it was driven predominantly by a lifestyle choice?
Yeah, I think mostly it's driven by a lifestyle choice. It certainly suits my family for me to have that flexibility, being able to work from home and things like that. And I think also it suits my temperament.
Yeah, great. Now, I think from memory, Honey and Jen, when we've spoken, that you guys were perhaps left in a situation where you needed to make some fairly tough decisions. Things, perhaps circumstances outside of your control. Perhaps Jen, you wanted to maybe jump in and talk about your background and how that may be slightly different to Sally's.
Yeah.
Why?
So I, like Honey, I was made redundant. I'd been working for a big corporate for 7 years, and I got the redundancy, which I had expected, but it was still really painful. And in that time, I was trying to work out what I wanted to do next. I turned up to the career transition company that I'd been assigned, and I think my first words were, "Don't tell me to freelance. I'm not going to freelance. It's just not going to happen." But while I was working out what I wanted to do, I did have some time financially. I had some time to work it out. People I'd worked with before who had moved on to other areas, they started reaching out and saying, "Look, because you're not doing anything at the moment, can you help me out with this?" And within a month, I had full-time work. Actually, it was about 2 weeks for different companies. And yeah, like 2 weeks later, I was like, okay, I guess this is a thing now. And I had registered for GST. So yeah, it was a very, very different experience. It wasn't planned. It was kind of the opposite of planned. But that being said, I wouldn't change it. Like, I've had a couple of amazing opportunities offered to me since I've been working for myself. A couple like for me to talk to them about other jobs, and I've just said no because this is it's been such a challenge and such a fantastic time, and I'm loving freelancing.
That's great. And Honey, again, you had experience of redundancy too, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So just on 2 years ago, I was made redundant from a job that I'd been doing for a large not-for-profit organisation in Queensland, and I'd been there for 12 years and was suddenly made redundant. But like I said before, it was just the shove that I needed to go out on my own, because my dream has always been to have my own counselling practice. And I was doing a bit of it on the side as I worked for the large organisation, but just wasn't able to make that transition until I really had to. And like Jen, I had the financial buffer to sort of take that time to work out what I was doing and make that transition. And yeah, I'm absolutely loving it.
That's great. So I guess the one of the things that's consistent is each of you, for whatever reason, came to a crossroads in your career and had to make a decision, and you chose for your own personal reasons to move into working for yourself and freelancing. Anybody can jump in and answer this, but I guess I'm keen to explore, what was the reaction of people around you, friends, family, people that you started articulating this decision that you'd made? How did you find the response?
For me, it was really mixed. So people I'd worked with before were so super excited. They wanted to hear more, and they wanted to work with me as quickly as possible and talk about money. My friends were kind of positive. They were pretty sure it was going to work out. But my family, there were a few times that it was asked if I was going to get a real job yet. Was I ready to get a real job? So yeah, it was a real mixed bag of experiences from those around me.
Okay. Did anybody else find the same or anything different?
For me, it was broadly positive. I think there are usually when I say I'm a health and medical writer, people have a little like, is that a thing? Is that a thing that people do? And then if I explain it, then it's all good.
Great. So people were pretty positive. And for you, honey, how did you find it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everyone was positive because pretty much everyone knew that was my dream anyway, to run my own practice. And so everyone was like, yep, okay, off you go. Now's your time. So
yeah.
The encouragement, which really helped.
Fabulous. Okay. So, all right. So we've made the choice. We've made the tough career decision. You've decided, right, I'm going to work for myself. Then what? How did you guys go about, working out what you were going to do to sort of get the structure in place so that you could, registering your business, tools and all of that kind of thing? Did you guys have previous training? If not, talk to us about how you sort of navigated that whole initial setup phase. Happy for anybody to take it from there.
Anybody? For me, it was like really messy. Like I started freelancing because I already had clients, and it was kind of decision out of my hands. So everything was playing catch up, and it was one of those things that I didn't know what I needed until I suddenly needed something. When I did need my first couple of weeks, I was like, okay, I need a good project management tool, client management, I need something. And I had it decided that I needed everything in one solution. Like it was going to be all my accounting, all my project management, all my client management, all in one. And I did find one that does that, but it was so complex. And, so I did lose a bit of money in the first bit with I'm going to need this solution or that solution, where it wasn't the right solution. I didn't actually know what I needed. So it was all kind of test and learn for me. And I need something, maybe this will do it. Usually it didn't, but eventually I got there.
So a bit of trial and error. What about you, honey?
Yeah, a bit of trial and error as well. I guess I initially just stuck a sign out the front and said I'm open for business was my first sort of step. And
like a physical sign?
Yeah, physical sign, put the shop up, and people started to trickle in slowly. And I guess, but if I think back to the beginning of my journey, and I think Jen said this, you don't know what you don't know. I knew that I was a good counsellor. I knew that I had a lot to bring to that space, but the whole business thing, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so it has been a huge learning curve and a bit of trial and error and working it out as you go along. But I did talk to a lot of people. I did ask a lot of people, and that has really changed everything. Get advice from other people who have done it before. And then it was a really big turning point for me about 6 months ago when I signed up with a business coach. That was the big turning curve for me, which really helped my business.
Excellent. Well, hold that thought because we'll come back to that kind of thing in a sec. How about you, Sally? I think you had a fairly sort of good network before you started as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, as I started, I did a couple of courses specifically for health writers. And within that course was a whole lot of really well laid out things for setting up a freelance business. And so it was a bit of a cookie cutter sort of thing, take kind of bits that I knew I could do and then park the things that I couldn't do for later on. So I think that, and also within that having a bit of a community of like-minded people who had either been through that recently or were going through a number of things, to be able to sort of chat about what did you do here and what did you do with this and how did you approach this pitch or this client, and being able to ask questions in a safe environment was really key for me.
Excellent. So that's sort of a beautiful segue from what you said and what Honey was talking about. Again, you know, the whole process is a learning curve for everybody, right? So you need, you know, support, information, you know, all of that kind of thing to help you grow as a freelancer. I'd love to talk about how you've, you know, what are the great resources that you found? What are the most useful things? What are the least useful things that you've been able to sort of surround yourself with to help you grow as an individual? Sally, yeah, go.
Yeah, well, I guess, like I was saying, I think that like having a community, having people that know your business or are close to that sort of thing is so critical. You need, because if you're working for yourself, you need a network of support. You need cheerleaders, people who will get in your corner, even if they've never met you before, just because you're going through the same experience. And so, yeah, and that can be diverse. It can be things like I said, for me, like with the other health writers, that's been really helpful, but even other communities as well, of copywriters has been very helpful, of other entrepreneurs or sole traders and things like that, that, you know, you just keep gleaning things and learning what might help. Having said that, though, as broad a brush as you paint, you will just kind of been flooded with tools and ideas, and you could use this tool and this tool and this program and this program, and it's a case of kind of curating what's suitable to yourself and your business and how you work and want to work, I guess. And so that takes time to kind of evolve and adapt. And I think I'm still doing that process.
Still a bit of trial and error.
Yeah.
Now, Honey, interestingly, you mentioned a business coach as something that you found very useful. Talk to me about that experience. How did you find the person? You know, what kind of, like, how do you quantify the value that you get from working with a business coach?
Yeah, so about 18 months ago, I did an online course that the government sponsored called Women in Rural Enterprise, and it was an online forum, and that was really the beginning of me getting serious about the business. I learnt, you know, again, what I didn't know, and through that, I met a friend who was in a very similar stage of business. She was in a startup situation as well, and so her and I get together regularly, and as Sally said, you know, having that support of someone else going through the same thing. So her and I would just get together, you know, at least once a week, just to say, how are you going, and talk business, because often your friends and family don't want to hear you talking about it all the time. And so it's good to have someone else in a similar situation. And so my friend was also, she was having this business coach, and I saw her business take off through her interaction with the business coach. And so that's when I thought, I might look into this. And so, yeah, met up with this business coach. She was down at Melbourne at the time, and I'm in Queensland. And she just, it's like Sally was saying, you get bombarded with so many ideas and so many different routes that you can take and things you can try. But for me, a business coach just really narrowed it down and gave me a bit of a roadmap to say, you know, this is where we're going and these are the steps to get there. And I really needed that. And certainly the accountability as well, checking in every week, you know, how am I going, you know, what do I need now, has just been so good for me, to just give me direction. And Oliver, you were saying, how do I justify the cost of it? So my business has tripled since meeting up with my coach. So it's a no-brainer, really, that she's been invaluable to my business.
It was more about quantifying the value than justifying the cost, I think. But if your business has tripled in value since then, and you can connect that directly to working with your business coach, I think that's that's justification enough for sure. What about you, Jen?
Yeah, like Sally, for me, the most valuable things have been community. I found very early on a copywriter community that's run by Kate Toon, and I joined that one. And it's just, when you're freelancing, working from home, everyone knows it now after COVID, but it can be, even if you're not the kind of person that talks a lot, going into an office, you see everyone in the morning, you say good morning, you catch up over a coffee, you've got the whole water cooler chat, even though no one hangs around the water cooler, but that's all happening. And not only do I work from home alone, I also live alone. So all I had was the cat every day, and he's not that great company, really. Well, he's great company, but he's not a good conversationalist. So yeah, finding that community was the most important thing for me. People who I could basically pretend were my colleagues, even though they're on their own paths and working for their own businesses. The other thing that has been incredibly valuable was, I'm in the Inner West in Sydney. The Inner West Council run a mentoring program for women in business. I think this might have been their second round of it. It's just like a 3-month program. I think they're planning another one. But it's just been really inspirational, and making me think about what the business means to me and what I want to go, what I want to do with it, and having that support from people around, talking to people about business, things that I would never talk about before having my own business, just never even thought about it. Yeah, that's been incredibly valuable. And I've made some friends through that, caught up with people actually outside of my home, seeing people in real life. It's been fantastic.
Awesome. Just before we move on, guys, I can see that there are questions coming through. I have got those, so thank you. We will get to those as we go. For those of you on Zoom and for those watching on Facebook Live, we are taking questions. We will relay those questions to the panel, so please stick around. We'll get to those questions soon. So, and I guess the next one is maybe difficult to answer for you. I don't know, but I'd love to know, and audiences always love to know. You can ask the question anyway. What's the biggest learning that you've had during, or what's the biggest mistake you've made? What's the biggest learning you've had? What's the thing that made you turn the corner? What was that sort of moment that sort of maybe the clouds parted, but it may have been through adversity or whatever it is. Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll kick off at least. I think my key learning in this last 12 months is that confidence is key, or even confidence is king. It is, or queen. It is something that I lacked right at the beginning. Really, I was quite uncertain about the steps that I was taking and my own abilities and all of these questions around this sort of thing. And I think, confidence and anxiety are, two sides of the same coin. And I think for me that there's been a couple of times where I've made poor decisions based on a lack of confidence or a growing amount of anxiety. One particularly was a time when I was approached by a client or potential client to do some work, and this was like the ideal client. I really want to do this kind of work with this kind of group, and that would be just fantastic. And I was super eager to impress and to land the client and to do the work. that I started working on the project before the ink was dry on the, or was actually dry on a contract. And so it actually fell through, and I'd already done a bunch of work, and I was like, oh, I'm so disappointed, because if I'd just been settled and confident that my process, I follow my processes through, do everything properly, and it would happen, rather than trying to, just trying to be over eager to do more than I should, than is wise to do. And then that was just like, I learned a whole bunch. I was a bit disappointed, but I learned a whole bunch of really key things from that, which is to trust my processes, to hold lightly to projects and clients, and not see it as wrapped up in my own kind of self-worth, or my own competency, and just kind of be more transactional about it. Just settle down, Sally, settle down.
Well, just as a follow-up, Sally, would you say that perhaps another impact of you becoming a freelancer has meant that you've become more confident in other aspects of your life? Has it helped you as a person, as an individual, as well as a professional?
Yeah, I think so. When you're on a learning curve of any kind, I think doubt and that all kind of creeps in. And you do get to a tipping point where you go, I can do this, and what I can't do, I can learn, and what I stuff up, there's plenty of grace to cover all of that.
Great, thanks. Honey, what about you? Biggest thing?
I agree with Sally. It's a big thing is the mindset, and really being in that positive mindset has been really important for me. At the start I was like, can I do this? Is this possible? So really to develop that positive mindset that yes, I can do it, has been really important. And I guess also understanding more about business. Like, as I said before, I didn't know a lot about being in business at the beginning, and I guess I thought a lot of it was luck. You could get lucky in business, and over this time I realized that it's more knowing what you're doing and having the appropriate strategies in place is more important than luck, and learning that there's a roadmap and there's steps that you can follow. And I attribute a lot of that to my business coach, who's taught me that. And when I put the steps in, when I put the work in and follow the right steps, I will actually get the payoff. So I don't know if anyone else relates to that, but it just takes that whole concept that you can get lucky in business, or you can work smarter. I don't know.
I know that Jen talks a bit about that, and I want to sort of hang on that. I want to keep that till just a little bit later. Before we go to you, Jen, there's a comment in the chat now that's from Letitia that says, Sally, thank you for your honest sharing, talking to others in similar situations. This confidence and working before contract is signed is a common thing. So, it's obviously an experience that many other freelancers have experienced as well. So thanks for sharing that. How about you, Jen? Sort of the biggest learning that you've had in your freelance career?
Yeah. I think the biggest learning is kind of like Sally said, it's don't act from emotion. I had a time, I think it was April or May last year, where I hadn't been doing this for very long. I didn't have the pipeline of potential clients. I didn't really know how to pitch for new ones, and I didn't know where my next check was coming from, or and so I was worried about money. I was panicked, and I had this client approach me, red flags all over the place, and I just ignored them because it was like, that's some income. I need that first. It doesn't matter, and that was just a really negative experience. So yeah, the other experience was on the other extreme. Thankfully, I didn't let myself get too far in it, but I got an idea in my head. This is only about a month ago, and I got so excited about it that I put all this energy and investment into it. the thing was, it doesn't suit me. It's not actually something I even want to do, but the idea of doing it was exciting. So stepping back and being confident and quite steady is really important. And I think that's the biggest learning for me, is don't let emotions rule your decisions. Did you want me to talk about that luck thing as well?
Because I'm going to flip this on this head in a minute. I do want you to talk about it, but not now. I guess I'm just keen to perhaps just summarise that whole section. And in my mind, one of the things that I've heard from each of you, even though your experiences are quite different, is that confidence plays a huge part in your ability to learn and I guess backing yourself to a certain extent. That seems to be a common thread throughout all of the examples that you've given. So let's flip that on its head now. We've looked at the things that you've learned from, but what about the successes? What's been your greatest success? Share with us your biggest win, and really how that's made you feel and how that's cemented in your mind that being a freelancer is really what you want to do. Anybody can start.
For me, I hit my I very, very quickly replaced my in-house income, and it wasn't a low income. It was a pretty decent one, and with that was able to that's not including the expenses. So I was able to put money aside further to get people to help me to outsource stuff to build more. So that's like a huge win for me, to be able to do that very quickly and kind of prove that freelancing is worth it. It's not, you're not picking at the crumbs of what's left. There is actually a career path here. And just the other thing is having opportunities being shown to me all the time and being able to choose what I want to do, when I want to do it, and even for how much. I keep on thinking, and it's probably the worst metaphor or worst reflection, but and it shows my age, but Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts getting upset, she says, I say who, I say when, I say how much, and I have that every day.
Fantastic. What about you, Sally? Biggest win?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest win, I think so far, I feel like I'm still very early in my journey in this freelancing thing. I think the win for me has been finding a bunch of people that love the things that I love doing. They put the science and the writing together and kind of geek out about that. And for me, that's been really delightful in terms of just personal satisfaction, I think. And then and I can see I'm making progress towards doing the kind of projects that have really tick all the boxes for me, and really having, for me, improving health literacy in Australia, particularly now at this time where it's so relevant to understand science and what qualifies as good information, what qualifies as not good information, and improving health literacy has been something that I've been passionate about for a long time, and I feel like I'm on that pathway to really kind of making an impact in that area.
Awesome, congratulations. And Honey, what about you?
I think the biggest win is that I get to do what I love to do every day, and I get to call the shots. And when you're working for someone else, you really do what they want you to do. And you can find some pleasure and satisfaction in that as well. But yeah, being in my own practice, I get to work with the clients that I want to work with, that really bring me joy and that I can really help as well. So it's just It's just a pleasure to work in a business that, you know, in a practice that I just love to work in. I think that's the biggest win. There's been lots of a big learning curve, like I said, that I've had to learn so many things. And so I make sure that I celebrate those little ones, those little wins, and I write them down and I acknowledge them, and I have them in a book. And whenever I feel like I'm a bit overwhelmed and I've got so much to do, I'll go back and I'll read and go, well, look where I've come from, look what I've learned, look at all the things that I know that I didn't know, you know, 6 or 12 months ago. So there's been lots of little wins along the way, but the biggest thing is that I get to do what I love to do every day.
Right, and I think that that's evidence, evident from hearing to the three of you talk about that. I guess getting, the joy of looking at what you've built and the self-satisfaction and validation of being able to build a business is one of the things that you will get from it. So let's get to that. This is a good point, perhaps, Jen, to come back to you and talk about that luck thing. And I think that, perhaps this comes down to the perception of people, of those around you, perhaps not fully understanding why you do what you do. So what is it about that whole concept of luck that gets your back up so much?
Oh, it makes me rant now.
Go on.
So when I
fully rant.
Yes. So when I first started freelancing, it wasn't a conscious decision, and I did have some decent projects that came straight to me. And those came because I'd built the network and I'd proven myself over, more than a decade. But I would talk about it as if, I've been lucky. I've been really lucky to be able to start my career in freelancing this way. Someone approached me, I've been really lucky. I'm earning this money. I'm really lucky. And it was me downplaying what I had achieved. And there was this turning point at the end of last year where I had actually hired a business coach. I'm not working with him anymore. And a huge part of that was because he said to me, you've been really lucky. And I was like, whoa, hang on. What does this actually mean? No, I've worked hard. I have, I've spent my whole career working out what I want to do, becoming good at what I want to do, being able to prove the work that I do, building my network, turning up every day and delivering results in my day jobs before and for my clients now. It's not about luck. I might be doing better than some people, but that's, part of it is my dedication, my time available, my life choices, and who and when and how I've interacted with people over the years, and just how dedicated I am to my career and growing that. Obviously there's always going to be a bit of privilege in this access to education or to career opportunities, but that's different to luck. Luck implies, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to be successful. You've just picked the right lottery ticket. It's not about that at all. It is all about how determined you are. And so, I do, if I find myself saying I've been lucky, or if I hear anyone else telling me that they've been lucky, now I just kind of go, nope, it's not that, because it's not. And if you look at others, particularly if you're looking at your competitors and going, oh, they've been lucky, then you're also not allowing yourself to build up your own business because you're not recognizing where you're not putting in. And you're also downplaying your competitor as not being as valuable as they are. I really want to get rid of this word lucky. I think, it should be struck from the dictionary, kill it, because it's nothing about luck.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Sally or Honey, do you have anything to add to that from your own perspective?
Yeah, because it's definitely not luck. And it's not even just desire either. You have to have the strategies and the steps as well. So you've got to have a combination of the passion and the drive but also the strategic steps to move your business and make it successful. That's been my experience.
Yeah. And Sally, anything to add?
It comes back to being confident, doesn't it? It comes, to remove the word luck, you need to have the confidence to say, you know what, I did this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. So I've got one more question for the panelists. So guys, again, in the audience on Facebook, we will be moving to questions. I know there's a couple in the feed. So please put your questions in now and we'll move to Q&A shortly. But as per the premise of this, obviously we're at that sort of end of financial year. It's a great time for reflection, also planning. And I'm sure all three of you are sort of looking forward to what the rest of 2020 and 2021 may hold. It may be that we reprise this webinar in 12 months' time, right? So if we're sitting here in 12 months again, the four of us, looking at where we've come, like, what's your outlook for the year? What are you sort of, is there anything particularly that you've set your mind to wanting to achieve? How do you feel about the 12 months ahead? Who wants to start with that one?
Well, I'll start. I'm very excited to be launching an online program for women. One of the barriers that I have that I've had to overcome is that I'm rural, so I'm out of the big city. So, the population is limited. So I've really had to look at and strategize, well, how do I make the most of that? And so I'm developing an online program that will give me a lot more reach. And a lot more financial security as well. So I'm really excited about that. So that'll be launching soon. I've been putting a lot of heart and soul into that, and really excited to get that going. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the next few months. So yeah. Yeah,
excellent, and best of luck with that. It'd be great to get an update as to how that goes. What about you, Sally? What are you hoping for in the next 12 months?
Yeah, look, at the beginning of this year, my biggest hope was to do a whole bunch of networking. I was going to go to all the meetings and meet all the people and just really broaden my networks to see what I could find. And 2020 has thrown a massive curveball into that particular plan. And I think I mentioned when we were chatting before that I wish I'd kind of bitten that bullet last year when I was just starting up, to just push myself out there. I'm a bit of an introvert, so I like to be home behind the computer writing and thinking and writing. But I realise now how important it is. So what I've had to do is kind of think a little bit more creatively about how to, and like we all have, how to make networking possible in a time of COVID, and meeting people without really meeting people. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of my ideas and efforts are around those kind of things, that just virtual networking, I guess, in one sense, and then taking one-to-one opportunities where that's a possibility. Yeah.
Awesome. And Jen, how about you?
I am super excited about the year ahead. I've set myself some huge goals.
Will you share some of those, like without going into too much detail? What kind of goals have you set? So
in the financial year 1920, I not 1920, but 2019, 2020, I set myself a financial goal. I ended up exceeding it by 10%, 110%. So I've actually doubled that financial goal. I figure
this time next year you'll be on a boat somewhere, right?
No, I wish. No, it won't quite be there yet. But so I've got a doubled financial goal for the year ahead. The other thing I've just done is I've just registered a business name as a side business that I have some big plans for. I've just started it. It's called can I plug it? Can I say it? Coffee.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We're not the ABC, so it's fine.
So it's called Coffee Content Repeat, and it's about helping people learn more about, content strategy, content marketing, content design, and copywriting as well. So I'm mapping out some ideas for like a mastermind in that, but also just looking at other ways that I can post through social, or other ways that I can help people start to get passionate about content and really get good at it. There's an awful lot of good enough but not fantastic people out there, and I think that it's still a fairly new area, and there's so much to learn for everyone, and it would just be, I wish I had a helping hand and someone giving me that information at the beginning of my career, but it didn't exist. So yeah, that's part of my goal for this year.
Great.
Is to help make others better.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great goal, and thanks for sharing that info. So again, just another question that's occurred to me very quickly, if we all just go around the room, because we haven't mentioned COVID. I didn't know whether to mention it or not. I'm back in lockdown, being in Victoria. It sucks, everybody. It sucks for everybody. Just very quickly, how has COVID changed your approach to business?
It hasn't really changed mine, except to say, it's made me realize I need to stand strong and not question myself. I had a couple of very major projects, big money, cancelled very early in COVID. Huge panic. But that money was made up and more. Projects did start coming in. So it was really about backing myself and realizing, if you're good, if you're chasing it, there is still opportunity there. So yeah, that's the only change for me.
Great. Honey?
Well, for a few months, I took my practice completely online and was able to have sessions online with people, which was really good because it made people aware that you can do counselling online. You don't have to do it in person. So it sort of broke down those barriers, which was really helpful. I'm back seeing people in person as well as online now, and so that was a big change to be fully online, and it was a bit of a learning curve as well. And obviously, working in the mental health area, I'm seeing a big impact on people's mental health now. So on a very practical level, a lot of my clients are really struggling with the effects of COVID-19, and I think the honeymoon period's sort of over. Like, people were sort of, were okay about it and sort of holding it all together, but it's just dragging on a bit long now. And I think we're sort of really feeling the effects now.
Yep. And Sally, any changes for you? You're hoping you get the contract for the vaccine?
Yeah. That would be nice. Look, I think, like everyone, I think everything slowed down for me right at the beginning of COVID, which was, I think, a bit of a mercy, since I then had children at home to help learn from home. And then I was able to fit a few things in bits and pieces around that. And yeah, I think what COVID has done as a medical and health writer, it's just shone a light on how important it is to have good communication and clear messages and good science articulated well, and propagate good information and kind of roadblock bad information. It's just it's just bedded down that this is where I want to be, and this is the coalface that I want to be working at.
Great. Well, we'll move to some questions. And this is to any of you, so feel free to jump in. From Letitia. So thanks, Letitia, for the question. She asked, have any of the panelists developed business plans or that use the lean business model? Interested to know their thoughts on how much time to spend, if you have. Has anybody done a business plan?
I started one, but then it was suggested to me, is it really helpful? what's the actual point of this? As a freelancer, my business is changing every day. I have different clients coming to me, different projects, and I kind of thought I'm wasting my time putting together this business plan. If I was building a business with people, with staff, perhaps selling products or services on a wider scale, absolutely that makes sense because you're all working towards one goal. But when it's just you, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sold on the idea of it, basically.
Okay. Interesting. Anybody else have a different approach or a different thoughts about business planning?
No, I'm similar to Jen. At the beginning, I thought I had to have one. I thought that was being a smart business owner, you had to have one. But when I talked to a lot of people, they said, really don't spend too much time on it. Have a loose one, but don't spend too much time on it. Obviously, working with a coach now, I have marketing strategy plans and things like that, but nothing's set in stone either. It's like Jen said, you want to be a little bit flexible as well, because you are changing all the time.
Yeah. Sorry, Jen. Having said that, I think, a business plan or like even a skeleton business plan, you need a place where you kind of anchor, this is my business. It's a bit like your scope of business, if you like. And it might fluctuate and change over time, but it's important to have, this is the thing that I do. And these are the things that I don't really do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need that. This is what I do. This is what I don't do. I think we need a financial goal, something that they're working towards. Like, this is our target, something to keep us driving and actually turning up every day. And when it comes to marketing our business, yes, we need a strategy and we need to be doing that. But, a rock solid business plan. I started it, didn't find value. And I kind of think, unless you're turning up to the bank saying, give me lots of funding, what are you going to use it for?
It's a great point. Point. Awesome. So we've got a question from Dawn who asks, we did cover this a little bit before, but I think the question is, how do you get clients? Is it networking? Is it social media, website, combination? What are your best sort of lead generation and client generation tips?
For me, it's all referral. I do have a website, I do have social, but I find social acts to remind people of what I'm doing, that I'm here and I'm a freelancer, rather than to generate new things. It's very much referral based on who I've worked with in my past life and who they talk to, who they think I would be a good match with.
Excellent. So referrals is a huge thing. Anybody any different?
No, for me, it's the same. Referrals are a huge component of that, which is why community is so important.
Yep. And Honey?
So referrals for me are a small part of my business, but I have a whole marketing strategy now that I'm working on, which has lots of different parts to it, because with marketing, it's never just one aspect that's going to bring people to you. It's not just your website or just your socials or anything like that. You have to have a combination of all things, so that really gives you that credibility out there. And so I have quite a strategic plan for my marketing, and that's what's made all the difference. And it is a real science to learn. And, just even if I think back, when I first started the journey, I didn't even know who my ideal client was. Hadn't even heard of that term before. So I've come a long way from identifying who my ideal client is and then marketing towards it. And as I said before, it's not luck, it's science. So when you use the right steps and the strategies, you will attract your ideal client and obviously increase that client base. So yeah, it's a lot of everything.
And what a great place to finish.